Welcome into another episode of my Dynasty Fantasy Football YouTube. Today, we're going to play a little rookie buy-sell from round 2 of the NFL Draft. Make sure to like, comment, and most importantly, subscribe if you haven't. Let's go. First player, Keon Coleman. Now, we know Keon Coleman went to the Buffalo Bills, 33rd overall, first pick of the second round this evening. And I love it. I love the fantasy fit for Keon Coleman. Let's talk about that. He's the wide receiver 1 for Josh Allen. Minimal target competition. Yes, we know they have Dalton Kincaid. That's their second weapon. Other wide receivers, Khalil Shakir, Curtis Samuel. But there's no question that Keon Coleman is their wide receiver 1 right now. Therefore, in Superflex rookie drafts, I have him at the 201. I debated a lot. I think you're going to get a tier. You're going to have Bo Nix, Jonathon Brooks, Keon Coleman, and Lad McConkey kind of in a tier in Superflex, maybe Michael Penix. But I like Coleman at the 201 in that group. More importantly, though, I rate him wide receiver 30 in Dynasty. Now, where is that? I have him right in the same tier as George Pickens, to give you an idea. I just like the value. I have Coleman above Pickens. I like the value of what Coleman can bring to the table in the Buffalo offense more than what Pickens can do on the Steelers. So, what is the verdict? The verdict on Keon Coleman. The verdict is that I would love to buy him with a trade down. How could I do that? I love X-Worthy, right? I mean, I love X-Worthy. I love what you can get from X-Worthy at 109. But if I could trade 109 for 201 and a, 25-second and third or something, like, could I get all of that and still get Keon Coleman? I'd probably do it. That kind of trade. So considering where he's valued, he's a buy for me with trade down. Next up, Lad McConkey. So one pick after, boom, right at the start of the round, we had Keon Coleman, then Lad McConkey to the Chargers, 34th overall. Fantasy fit, wide receiver 1 for Justin Herbert. No, it's not Quentin Johnson. It's Lad McConkey. Minimal target competition. You got QJ, you have Josh Palmer, you have Lad McConkey. That is your 3 wide receiver set. And I expect Lad McConkey to lead that group. Now, when it comes down to it, between him and Coleman, you're going to have a lot of people. I think that's the decision. Who do you take? I prefer Coleman. I preferred Coleman pre-draft based on my prospect eval. So I'm going to stick with that. They went back-to-back. Coleman went first. I'm going to stick with having Coleman first, but they are back-to-back in my rankings. I have McConkey at wide receiver 31, right between Keon Coleman and George Pickens, so I have a wide receiver 32. So what is the verdict on Lad McConkey? Here we go. You might even be able to get more. I'd love to go down to, could you get 2 extra seconds or, 109 for 202 and 203? Could you do something like that to get Lad McConkey? I love the trade. Look, I'm not saying I dislike X-Worthy or Brian Thomas, but the value's all on trading down. So I am definitely in on trading down to get Lad McConkey. I'd also be in on trading up to get Lad McConkey, depending on the price, or trading a veteran for Lad McConkey. Could you trade? It's going to be harder to do, but could you trade Jaden Reed for Lad McConkey on the clock? I would do it. I would prefer Lad McConkey. That might be the one you could try. Next up, Jalen Polk. His destination, the New England Patriots, 37th overall. Suddenly we were excited. Now we're not so excited. Fantasy fit. I mean, he is the wide receiver 1 for Drake May, probably. I mean, they have Pop Douglas, who did show as a rookie. And I don't have the same confidence in Polk that I do in Coleman or McConkey. Those were prospects I liked. Polk, a prospect I'm okay with. Just okay. Not someone was excited for. I did not expect him to go 37th overall. Pre-draft, I had him 62nd to the Ravens. So 25 picks overdue. Overdrafted. Patriots, kind of a mess. What are they doing? So, for those reasons, I still think there are some players maybe on day 3 at running back who could pass Polk. Probably not. But He's going to land somewhere in the late second of Superflex rookie drafts. I'm just not a fan. I'm just not a fan. I mean, I'm not even sure he's going to make it in the second because running backs could go ahead of him. Dynasty value rank, I have him in the wide receiver 55 to 60 range. We're still putting players in, but that's the range he's going to fall in. My verdict, strong sell. I have no interest in this guy. None. Didn't like him really pre-draft compared to others. Don't like this destination. The draft capital is going to cause him to go higher. So I'm probably passing on Polk. I'll let someone else draft him. It's hard. Yeah, the draft capital's there, but I don't love the prospect profile, and I don't love the landing spot. So I'm kind of out on Polk. Next up, Jonathon Brooks. I told people he would be the first running back drafted. I said it 100 times. And he delivered. He was the first running back drafted, even higher than I thought he would be. 46th overall. The Carolina Panthers. Maybe not my favorite destination, but not the worst. Fantasy fit here for Jonathon Brooks. Chuba Hubbard was from 3 regimes ago. I mean, we're talking about someone who this regime, they happen to have. Miles Sanders, again, a contract from the previous regime. Dave Canales, new head coach. He wanted a new running back. I would assume that the new running back he drafted, not the 2 old guys he inherited, is going to be the starter. So I like that. There are some offensive questions. We don't know if Bryce Young is good. We don't know that. However, you saw the sleeper alert tonight. It says Jonathon Brooks will be ready for training camp. I believe it. I said this a month ago. I said this 2 months ago. I said this a lot, that I think he will be ready for training camp. So I would factor that into your value. There's still people who say he's going to miss 6 weeks. Still, they're just not paying attention. So for those reasons, I have him at 112. I'm in on him. I'd rather have him over the wide receivers just because second round draft capital from running back is a little bit stronger than second round for a wide receiver. And it's just hard. I mean, this is a very good prospect who got better than expected draft capital in a landing spot I'm fine with. So yeah, I'm in on Jonathon Brooks. Dynasty value, I have him at RB8, which that sounds high, but if you think about it, like, would you really prefer Kenneth Walker, who's 3 years older, over Jonathon Brooks? Kenneth Walker has Zach Charbonnet on his team. Would you really prefer him? Would you really prefer 4 years older Travis Etienne? Would you really prefer 6 years older Saquon Barkley? Would you? No, probably wouldn't. So I have him RB8. Yeah. And maybe even RB7 if I drop Kyron Williams. I don't think so, but probably RB8 is where I'm going to settle on Brooks. Verdict, he's a hold for me. I think the value is very fair. I saw some people trying to put him RB10 to 15. I'd be in on that price, but it's the kind of thing where even if I'm in him, I might be higher on him among running backs, but still lower on him overall. So since I'm kind of higher in one way of valuing and lower overall, because generally I'm lower on running backs in general, I rated him as a hold. Kind of in the middle. Adonai Mitchell. I thought he would go in the first round. He did not. Not only did he not go in the first round, he wasn't one of the wide receivers taken at the top of the second round. He went to the Colts, 52nd overall. I got to tell you, this is not a landing spot that I like. This is a bad landing spot. Why is that? Anthony Richardson, great fantasy asset. Great fantasy asset. But he's going to do it with his legs. Anthony Richardson is not going to throw 4,500 yards. That's not going to happen. So Michael Pittman just signed a contract extension to be their locked-in wide receiver 1. Josh Downs had almost 800 yards as a rookie. He's not going to disappear into thin air. He was a good prospect. He was drafted in the 3rd round. So I think this is the kind of thing where on a team with Jonathan Taylor, with Anthony Richardson, they want to run the ball, that Michael Pittman is going to be the one. And Josh Downs and Adonai Mitchell are competing for, at most, one other fantasy relevant role. And my guess is the most likely outcome is they cancel each other out, and you can't really use either of them. I would lean that Adonai Mitchell he's just a better prospect. I mean, he was drafted higher. It's more upside than Downs. Downs is probably safer. They're not going to be players I'm targeting in Dynasty. So I have Mitchell at 208 in my Superflex rookie draft value at the moment. Wide receiver 48 overall. It's just not a player I'm excited by. Kind of players in his range, like Jerry Jeudy is below him, and Xavier Legette is actually the player right above him. But my verdict is a strong sell. He has name value, but nothing else. I think I'll be hands off of Adonai Mitchell, selling out of the spot to pick him if that's the necessary pick. I'm not excited by Adonai Mitchell long term. And we'll close with Ben Sinnott, the last fantasy relevant player picked in the second round. He went to the Commanders at 53rd overall. It's a good fantasy fit. I mean, great weapon for Jaden Daniels. He had high draft capital. He went as the tight end 2 off the board. Javion Sanders didn't even go on day 2. And we know that the Commanders were the last pick of the third round, also added Luke McCaffrey, which I think slightly hurts Ben Sinnott's value, but not too much. Superflex rookie draft value, I have him in the late second. Right now, I have him at 21 or 22. We're going to see how that finalizes, but it's a good value. And I think people don't like to trust these kind of rookie tight ends. Even after the Sam Laporta last year, I still think people are skeptical of rookie tight ends. I have him tight end 12 in Dynasty. And let's look at that. So I still have, a lot of guys ahead of him. And then David Njoku, Evan Ingram are also ahead of him. But, where do I lean on Ben Sinnott versus Tucker Kraft, Ben Sinnott versus Cole Kmet? I mean, Michael Mayer lost some value. Dallas Goedert is getting old. So, yeah, I mean, tight end 12, maybe tight end 13 is kind of a good spot for Ben Sinnott. And the verdict, strong buy. Strong buy because I think that he's going to fall too far. I mean, I think he's going to fall to the third just because people don't like drafting these tight ends. And I always say I usually am a little too in on tight ends, and I think it's kind of maybe a weakness in my Dynasty game. But given that, there were a few less wide receivers taken in the day 2 than I thought there would be, I'm okay taking a tight end with this kind of capital in the late second, especially one who, unlike JT Sanders, has both production and athleticism. So I really like Ben Sinnott. And I was glowing about him on the tight end video we did on the channel. And I'm very excited that he got this draft capital because this is a player I'm excited for. So I hope that we can get some shares of him in rookie drafts. Now, as always, if you like the video, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Hit that notifications bell so you can be notified about all of my future content. If you want to support the channel and get my rookie ranks, the Patreon is the best way to do that. Patreon.com/fantasy advice. You can get all of my rookie ranks. They might even be there by the time this video is up. And you can also participate in the Patreon Discord and get DM help with your fantasy teams. But until next time, I want to thank everyone for watching, and I will see you all later. Peace out.